He is one of the most controversial nepo babies of the 21st century.
He's the lesson for every other child of celebrities.
Brooklyn will always do a subtle swipe. The poor man, sometimes he just makes a sandwich, and I think he just gets rinsed for it.
From blurry pictures to family feuds, Brooklyn Beckham's public image has taken a beating over the last decade.
You say, "Leave me alone, hornet's nest," but then you're quite happy to poke it.
It just looks like maybe he's the spoilt child who's thrown his toys out of a pram.
So how did he go from a beloved Beckham to a PR's worst nightmare? To understand where everything went wrong, we need to go back to where it all began. The year was 1999, the Euro had just been introduced, double denim was all the rage, and beloved it couple David and Victoria Beckham welcomed their son Brooklyn into the world.
Brooklyn Joseph.
Brooklyn Beckham was born with people obsessed with him just because of who his parents were. David and Victoria were ultimately the biggest stars in the world at the time. They were the ultimate power couple. He was massive with Manchester United and she was 1/5 of the Spice Girls. Everyone wanted a piece of the Beckhams, so to welcome a baby boy, the firstborn heir to what would become Brand Beckham, there was a massive frenzy because everyone was just obsessed. It was a fairy tale story and this was their fairy tale ending.
From the moment he was born, Brooklyn was in the spotlight. Cameras and reporters followed his family's every move.
David and Victoria did so much to try and protect him. Obviously those children, all of the children are seen regularly at events now, but especially when Brooklyn was younger, they weren't so much in the public eye. But as time's gone on and the world's evolved, everyone wanted to see those children and they were more than happy to share snippets of their lives and snapshots with us.
By the mid-noughties, Brand Beckham was a go and Brooklyn was well and truly part of the plan. But at age 15, Brooklyn's dreams of being a footballer had crashed and burned, so it was time for him to follow in the footsteps of every good-looking nepo baby before him.
He was the eldest son of the most influential couple in British showbiz. So loads of brands wanted to work with him, sort of regardless of what he was interested in. He sort of tried out a few different things.
It was not all smooth sailing for Brooklyn. His decision to embrace celebrity meant opening himself up to scrutiny, and it didn't take long for the young teen to ruffle some feathers.
I think it was about 2016 when Brooklyn got announced as the photographer for Burberry's latest fragrance campaign. He was only a teenager at the time, had no real experience as a photographer, and announced this news on his Instagram that he'd be doing this campaign. Obviously, that is a job that loads of people would want. Loads of people have put in the training, the hours, you know, they have that as their career.
This may have been the first time Brooklyn's privilege got him in hot water, but it certainly wouldn't be the last.
The big disaster with Brooklyn's photography career was the book that he released as a teenager called What I See, and he was widely mocked because of it. This was the first real job that he'd had as a photographer after the Burberry Brick campaign. And the one picture that everyone remembers is it's just the silhouette of an elephant. And he said, "So beautiful to see, but so hard to photograph." And it was just, he really put the nail in the coffin of his own photography career because he was basically pointing out, yeah, I'm a bit of a rubbish photographer because I can't even capture this elephant that looked great in person, but it looks a bit crap in this picture.
Then came the infamous cooking phase.
Tonight we're going to attempt a French omelette with some caviar.
Brooklyn tried to be a photographer, it didn't really work, so then he very quickly, it appeared, to just move into food, so no one kind of believed he was serious, but actually Brooklyn's been cooking for quite a long time now. He is an impressive chef, but I think he gets mocked relentlessly on social media. I mean, the poor man, sometimes he just makes a sandwich, and I think he just gets rinsed for it, whereas actually, I've tried one of his sandwiches, and they're actually really good.
You know, I think a lot of other celebrity parents of children these days really encourage their kids to work really hard and choose one thing and really pursue it so that you don't have those accusations in the same way. Whereas Brooklyn, I think he's the lesson for every other child of celebrities.
Brooklyn's public image had already lost some of its shine, but things were about to go from bad to worse.
The first time he met Nicola was in 2017 at Coachella, and they actually, by all accounts, didn't really get on. They sort of were introduced by mutual friends, weren't interested in each other, and moved on. And it wasn't until a Halloween party in 2019 that Nicola says that she turned around and she saw Brooklyn in a bush. God knows what he was doing there, but they hit it off. And, you know, only 7 months or 8 months later, they were engaged.
They were a match made in nepo baby heaven. He was the firstborn of the beloved Beckhams, and she was an aspiring actress and daughter of a billionaire.
I think when Brooklyn and Nicola came out as a couple, people were really excited for them. I think it was very much Harry and Meghan. It's that same kind of effect. This was the first real serious girlfriend Brooklyn had. He had a string of other lovers, they were sort of well publicised, but Nicola was the one you could tell he was so taken by, and she seemed to slot into the family pretty perfectly at first. I think you'll remember in the early days of their relationship, she was always seen with the family, she'd be at the front row with the Beckhams, Victoria's, fashion shows. Everyone seemed to really embrace her, and they were very much seen as, I don't know, maybe a mini Posh and Becks.
Unfortunately, the pair's honeymoon period was short-lived. Rumours soon started flying that all was not well between the Beckhams and the Peltzes ahead of the wedding.
We've got David and Victoria, who are basically British royalty at this point. They are everything that there is to be, you know, the highest echelon of celebrity in the UK. And then you had Nicola's parents, who are multi-millionaires, if not billionaires. They are very rich and powerful in the US. So you had these sort of two dynasties coming together, and it became very clear in the run-up to the wedding and shortly afterwards that they had really butted heads, the two families.
Brand Beckham, however, was desperate to shut down any rumours of a feud.
The Beckhams and the Peltzes together really pushed this narrative that, nope, all good here, don't know, there's nothing to see, don't know what you're talking about. You know, Nicola was always posting pictures on Instagram with Victoria and Victoria with Nicola. There would be all of the family appearances, you know, Brooklyn and Nicola would go to Victoria's fashion shows. That is really the big push behind Brand Beckham is, you know, keep calm and carry on.
Brooklyn Peltz Beckham seemed to be on board with the plan, until he wasn't. In 2025, Brooklyn and Nicola skipped multiple important family milestones. David's 50th, Victoria's Netflix show premiere, David's knighthood. Instead, the pair renewed their vows. Notably absent were his parents.
I think where it all went wrong for Nicola and Brooklyn was last year, in May 2025, when they didn't go to David's 50th birthday party. Now, that was the start of what turned out to be this huge feud. Then you had the fact he didn't go to the birthday party, and then all these stories start appearing. And naturally, both camps appeared to be briefing. We were hearing things from people who knew the Beckhams, people who knew the Peltzes, and then it just erupted into an all-out war.
He thought, this is time for me to forge my own path, and he's quite comfortable in America, and he kind of just wants to keep away from everything in the UK and also his family as well.
And forge his own path he did.
It was bombshell. I think to see him write so honestly and so brutally, some of the stuff he put in that statement was so painfully honest. I think for him to write it was saying a lot, but I feel for David and Victoria to see that out in the public domain was so incredibly difficult. They've worked so hard to keep their family together as a unit. They've always been seen as a happy family. So to have Brooklyn come out and basically knife them like that was mad.
Brooklyn may have hoped that his Instagram statement would have been the beginning of the end for Brand Beckham, but it seemed that he underestimated the power of his last name.
I think if he had pushed to have more of a career and a personality in some ways, then maybe people would side with him a bit more. I think a lot of people don't really know who he actually is, and maybe he doesn't know who he is.
People did side with the Beckhams rather than Brooklyn. I think they was Team Victoria, Team David. They kind of just thought this is a spoiled child, kind of just lashing out, wanting a bit of attention.
Meanwhile, David and Victoria let their silence do all the talking.
You kind of struggle to dislike that family. After the feud, I think A lot of people were asking questions of the Beckhams and what they were like as parents, but actually they're really good parents. You can see that in their love for their son. What they feel is that their son is estranged from them and they're absolutely heartbroken by it.
Following the backlash, Nicola and Brooklyn seemed to shun celebrity. Instead, embracing the wealthy circles Nicola's parents ran in.
They are moving away from celebrity, getting into more socialites and that kind of side of the celebrity world. I mean, he would never have to do a brand deal in his life if he didn't need to, or if he didn't have something to say.
And 6 months later, Brooklyn had something to say. Brooklyn ditched the Instagram stories and got creative for his next dig at Brand Beckham, shading his family in the form of a DoorDash ad.
The fact that he does it for a World Cup advert, it's wild. Like, he knows his dad's going to be at all those games. His dad was the England captain. His dad was an England wonder god. I was so shocked because I just felt it went against everything he'd said before, that you say, leave me alone, hornet's nest, but then you're quite happy to poke it. It just made no sense.
This ad cemented Brooklyn's decision to excommunicate himself from the family, officially trading Brand Beckham for billionaires.
It seems that Brooklyn is just isolated in some ways. He just lives with Nicola. They spend all their time together. It doesn't really seem from what he posts that he has a lot of friends around him, or especially not family. So I think because of that, people don't really know who Brooklyn is, and the whole narrative around Brooklyn is just this feud with his parents.
There is no denying the last couple of years have not been kind to Brooklyn, but in the court of public opinion, it seems like Victoria and David have come out on top.
You know, he is their son, they will always want him back in the fold. Ultimately, I almost think from an outsider's point of view, the only way in my eyes he could come back is if that relationship ended, because I don't see any future for Brooklyn and his parents with Nicola still in his life, because I believe that's his family now, that's who he sees as his unit, and until that unit breaks down, if it breaks down, then only then will he return to his family.
Despite the picture-perfect social media profile, Brooklyn's fall from grace seemed inevitable from the moment he said "I do." And a reunion with his parents has become more of a dream than a reality.